Hey guys, as usual, please like and subscribe if you like the content. Obviously, I've got reviews of episodes 1 through 4 of the Book of Boba Fett also on my channel, as well as some other things. Star Wars, what it could have been, the sequel trilogy, different things. Feel free to check those out, and let's get into this. So I just finished watching the Book of Mandalorian, episode 5. And what? Oh, okay, this was the Book of Boba Fett, episode 5. Okay, well, could have fooled me, and you're gonna find out why. Okay, so first scene, essentially a butcher shop, a very overstaffed butcher shop, at least from what I could tell. The scene, like, you go from like a few dudes to like literally like 50 guys. You're kind of like, whoa, this is like an industrial operation, but you don't actually see the industrial side of it. You see what appears to be a smaller, but anyway, it's just weird. Whatever. So the Mandalorian shows up, and you know who he is. He's an actual cool bounty hunter. So basically, the Mandalorian is everything Boba Fett should have been, and he's there to collect a bounty. I guess somebody in the butcher shop is, the bounty he's supposed to collect. And so he goes in there, and it's obviously the main businessman sitting at his desk, which again was awkward because his office is in the middle of the meat area where there's like his meat hanging and stuff. Not realistic. Anyways, whatever. He says, you can go quietly, or you can, or I can deal with you guys. Blah 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 blah. And so he deals with them, but of course, in very Mandalorian fashion, he gets shot like literally like 20 times. The Mandalorian is the only character in the history of Star Wars who gets shot constantly. I think Leia got shot once, right? Return of the Jedi. Luke's hand got shot, I believe, in Return of the Jedi as well. But like, this dude gets shot constantly, and not just by these dudes, but by stormtroopers. Everybody, he just gets shot constantly, which kind of diminishes his bounty hunter-ness, I guess is the best way to put it. But anyways, so he has the dark saber. He takes care of all these stupid guys. But while he's using it to deal with these guys, he actually cuts himself with it. So he cuts himself with the dark saber. Okay, whatever. And so he's limping around, and I guess it gives a reason for him to go back to the Mandalorian people who are now on essentially Elysium. It's basically Elysium, this ring city. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but in my opinion, Elysium did it better. So he goes there, and he finds the armorer who's now there, and instead of being on Tatooine, I guess it was. She checks out his saber. She says, oh, and she goes into the whole lore of the saber, which again, I've never been a fan of. It's been done a million times. Oh, whoever wields the saber runs Mandalore, but the only way you can take it is by fighting for it. It's just that type of story just opens up a whole litany of silliness. You're the king of Mandalore, and you're just constantly fighting people to remain the king. I just think it sucks. I do. I think it's lame. I don't like the look of the darksaber. Black. It's dumb. It doesn't look right. It's like, it's not even a black light. It's like a no light. Anyway, it's weird. So Mando joins the remaining handful of Mandos, and then there's a big expository fest about the siege of Mandalore and showing TIE bombers bombing the snot out of it with zero resistance, which is weird, and I don't know, just whatever. They destroyed Mandalore, whatever. So as of yet, nothing to do with Boba Fett at all. This show, this episode, it's all about Mando. It's basically the season premiere of Mando episode 3 in a lot of ways, except timeline-wise, this creates a bit of a problem. Anyway, so Mando trains with the saber with the armorer lady, but of course, in the new Disney era, lightsabers are living, so it knows that Mando's fighting against it. That's the way they put it in the show. He's fighting against the darksaber, so then it just gets heavier and heavier and heavier, and he can't even really use it. It's a weapon. It makes no sense. It'd be like, your blaster skills are not good enough, therefore the blaster is now heavier than it was before, and you cannot blast people. It's dumb. It's a lightsaber. It's a weapon. It's not living. It does not have a connection with the guy, other than the fact that say Luke is using it, and because he's a Force user, it's like an extension of him because he feels it a certain way. But it doesn't mean the lightsaber's alive and knows what he's doing. It's just, anyways. So he's fighting against it, and then the other Mando dude, the big guy, if you remember from Mandalorian series, the bigger Mandalorian, he wants the Darksaber now because his ancestor made it, and that would make him the king of Mandalore. Which again, why does everybody want to be running Mandalore when Mandalore got destroyed? It's the whole thing is so silly. It's dumb. It's a dumb story. It's already destroyed. What are you fighting for now? Who cares if this guy has the stupid Darksaber? Anyways, because I guess his ancestor made it, so that's his motivation to potentially lose his life over it. So they fight, and the fight is really, it's Bush League, guys. Like, we're talking, this is a really, 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 like the one with Moff Gideon, if you compare that to what this is, this fight scene is really low end. Like, this is like B-movie. I was actually shocked. Because the one thing you can do when your writing sucks is you can at least make the visuals good, which Disney seems to do most of the time, but this was a really crappy fight scene. I don't know who did it, but it's slow and monotonous. Then the armorer gets Mando to admit that he willingly took off his helmet. So Mando beats the big Mando. And then, for reasons we don't know, the armorer says, well, have you ever taken your helmet off willingly? Because that's against the Mandalore code. And you're like, why are you randomly asking him this now? You could have asked him this when he first showed up. You could have asked him this at any point, but you wait until he defeats the dude who's trying to take the Darksaber before you ask him this. That doesn't make any sense. It's just out of nowhere. Okay, so he admits that he took it off to say goodbye to Grogu or whatever, and she basically kicks him out of being a Mandalorian, and you're like, well, there's like 5 of you left, first of all, anyway. Second of all, who are you? Who is this chick? There's no background. We don't know anything other than she knows how to make armor. Does that like make her the authority over everybody? Like, what if Mando was like, nah, and just killed her with the saber? Like what is this? I don't get where her authority comes from. I get they have a code and stuff, but if the code was everything to Mando, then Mando would already have relinquished his Mandalorian status because he took his helmet off and wouldn't even show up there to be part of their group, correct? So he obviously didn't care about it. So when she gives him the boot, why didn't he just turn around and stab her? Why did he, like, even care? Like, if you're him, you're like, who are you? I don't care about you. You have no authority over me. I can do whatever I want. Anyway, it's convoluted and doesn't make sense when you really stop and think about how the story was written. We're now 25 minutes in, and there's been zero Boba Fett, zero anybody from the Boba Fett show. It's just been Mando. Okay, so basically now you're looking back and going, the entire scene was pointless. Totally pointless. Because, again, he's giving the authority to this lady, even though there's no reason to. There's hardly any Mandalorians left anyway. There's like 3. So the whole scene, it's like a 20-minute long scene with a really crappy fight scene, is what was the trinket she made for Grogu. It looked like it was chainmail. So she took the Beskar spear, which, again, I have no idea why Mando was like, yeah, take the Beskar spear and make whatever you want out of it. I don't care, because you're right. You said it's intimidating or whatever, so take it. So she made some trinket for Grogu. It looked like chainmail, but you don't see it. It's wrapped up in a little bandana with, of course, she tied it so that it looks like Grogu in the ears, and then Mando holds it in such a way that his brown thumbs on his gloves look like his eyes, and it's so basic cheese visuals. Anyways, so the whole scene was completely pointless, other than whatever she made for Grogu, which you don't find out anyway. It's just a giant filler, 25 minutes of filler, and then he goes on the commercial flight and has to put his weapons in storage to make a big deal out of that, even though he gets them all back anyway. So there's yay. And there's another Greedo. They just throw the Greedo race. I don't even know what they're called. They just keep throwing them into every episode of this Boba Fett series. Mando goes to the Afro Mullet Lady to get a ship that she apparently transmitted she had for him. He was expecting another what's it called? These old ship. It's a cool ship. I'm tired. I can't remember what it was called. But anyways, so he goes there, and what she actually has is the skeleton and some parts for this Naboo Royal Starfighter. Which was literally, this is the coolest thing that Disney Star Wars has done in its entirety. I'm talking sequel trilogy. I don't care. Clone Wars. The fact that she's trying to rebuild this Naboo Starfighter, Royal Starfighter, for Mando, I think was rad. I think that was a really cool idea. This is the first cool thing they've done. And the funniest part is it's the coolest thing on this show called Book of Boba Fett, and it has nothing to do with Boba Fett, and we're like well over half an hour in, and he still hasn't even showed up. So it's just like, what are you doing? Anyways, like I said, the Starfighter build was probably the best thing that Disney Star Wars has done, other than this weird comment the Afro Mullet Lady makes about, oh, I dated a Jawa. That's not very funny, and it wasn't a Star Wars type of humor. It was weird. Anyways, and then after all that, so he tests the Starfighter. It works. It flies. Everything's good. It's super fast. It's rad. They sanded the yellow paint off and stuff, but this was the one good thing these twats have done in 10 years, other than arguably some later Clone Wars episodes. And then at the very end, you don't get Boba Fett. You get the supporting role, Fennec. So Boba Fett's sort of right-hand woman. And she essentially recruits Mando into Boba's crew, because now, of course, because of what happened with him not being allowed to be a Mandalorian anymore because of some random armorer, even though, why does he even care? She recruits him into the crew and tries to give him money, and he said, I don't even want the money, I'm just doing this because I should. And you're like, okay, whatever. And that's literally the end of the episode. Boba Fett does not appear a single time. This is over 50 minutes. He does not appear at all. The show of his name, the longest episode that's come out yet, it's half a movie length or more, and he's not in it at all. At all. And I sit there and I ask myself, what is Lucasfilm thinking? Like, do they think we're not going to notice this? Even people who really love Mando and love Boba Fett, and I've been on Twitter and stuff and seen all these comments, even they were like, dude, this was essentially a Mandalorian episode. Why is this in the Book of Boba Fett? And you had that huge filler scene with Mando and the other Mandos, which was completely unnecessary. But again, Mando's an actual bounty hunter, and actually goes around and does some fairly cool stuff. Boba Fett doesn't do anything, and he's not even in this episode. I just don't get it. I don't get what they're doing. It's so weird. It's so convoluted. It doesn't make any sense, and it's bad, guys. Like, this show is terrible. And yeah, The Mandalorian's cool and stuff, but this show is just absolutely terrible. And I'm saying that after they did one cool thing finally with this Naboo Starfighter. This show sucks. Anyways, like and subscribe if you like the content, and have a good day.